Hello and welcome to Accessible Yoga with me, Sarah Green. If you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and switch on the alerts as well. In this session, we're going to focus on building some strength and stability in our glutes, our butt. And this session is suitable for beginners upwards. So if you have never done yoga before, if you perhaps struggle with mobility, this is the class for you. We're going to begin, as we always do, with a nice simple breathing exercise. And for this one, I'd like you to come down onto your back. So just take a moment to get yourself comfortable. Please feel free to maybe even pad out the back of your head with a little cushion or something if that feels good for you. And take a moment to notice how your low back is feeling. So if it's a little bit achy, I would really recommend you taking the soles of the feet mat width apart and allowing your knees to gently knock towards one another. But if it feels comfortable for you, feel free to extend your legs out along the floor if that is just a little bit more comfortable. So doing what feels best in your body, and I'd like you to rest both of your hands just very gently onto your tummy. Take a moment to close your eyes and begin to draw your awareness inwards. So regardless of what kind of day you've had so far, beginning to arrive in the present moment. Starting to notice how you're feeling. Scanning through the physical body to notice if you are holding any aches or pains in any particular spaces of your body. Perhaps also noticing how you're feeling energetically today too. And as you make these observations, trying to do so without necessarily judging yourself for the way that you feel. So forget about the backstory of how you came to feel this way. Just noticing those sensations and emotions for what they are right now for you. When you're ready, beginning to take your breath a little bit deeper. Starting to lengthen out your inhales and extend out your exhalations. So breath by breath, maybe taking in a little bit more air on the inhale. And on the exhale, drawing belly button back to spine a little bit further. Getting any air which might be lurking in the bottom of your lungs out. Until eventually you're taking full and deep breaths. The hands are gently resting on your abdominals. And I want you to really focus on simply breathing into this space. So as you inhale, you feel your belly rise. And on your exhale, you feel the belly fall. Keep breathing in this way and keep focusing the breath down into your tummy. Notice how it makes you feel. Now taking your hands to gently rest on the sides of your rib cage. As you breathe in, feel the rib cage pressing out towards your hands. And on the exhale, feel this gentle softening into the center line of the body. So you're noticing the chest broaden as you breathe in. and a sinking back into the center line as you exhale. Take a couple more breaths like this. Finally, take your fingertips to just lightly rest onto your collarbones. And now I want you to think about breathing so deeply that on your inhale, you feel the belly expand, you feel the rib cage expand, and you feel as though you're trying to lift the breath up toward the crown of the head. So maybe there's a slight lift in the collarbones too. On the exhale, you feel the belly button draw to spine, the rib cage retract, and at the end of your exhale, your collarbones sink down toward the center line of the body also. So a few more times like this, making your breath a full body experience. That sense of inflating your torso like a balloon on the inhale and deflating your torso completely on the exhale. And then gently release, just let the hands rest down by the sides of your body. Notice how you feel. Perhaps a little bit calmer, perhaps a little bit more present in this moment. And gradually start to wake up your body with some small movement, starting in fingers and toes, and then eventually taking a nice full body stretch. The arms can come overhead, the legs can stretch out in front of you, stretching as much as you can. And on a big exhale, hug your knees in toward your chest and just very gently take a rock from side to side. Feel the back of your body massaging down into the floor. And when you're ready, coming to find some stillness. So going to begin with a very gentle ab exercise here. I'd like you to stretch the arms out alongside you, almost in a crucifix shape. And the knees are in toward the chest still. Flex your feet so that they remain nice and active. Now take a full inhale and press your low back firmly into the floor. On your exhalation, take both of your knees over to the right side, just halfway, and hover them there. Squeeze your low belly down, so belly button moves back toward the spine, and just hold it there, hovering. Inner thighs are squeezing together strongly. On your next inhalation, bring the knees back up to the top, and on your exhale, draw belly button to spine and send the knees halfway to the left and pause there. So the knees are hovering midway. You're drawing the belly button in, you're breathing nice and deeply, and the back of your right shoulder is pressing firmly into the floor. Good job. Inhale, bring the knees back up to center. Exhale, knees halfway to the right and pause. Draw low belly down. Squeeze your inner thighs, your inner knees together. Press the back of your left shoulder down into the mat. Inhale, knees up to center. Exhale, knees to the left. Hold them halfway. Hover. Squeeze inner thighs together, draw low belly down. Press the back of your right shoulder into the mat. Deep breaths here. On your next inhale, knees up to the top, just one more to each side. Exhale, knees halfway to the right, hover. Squeeze low belly down, press the back of your left shoulder into the mat. Thinking about really just hovering those knees halfway in space. Backs of the shoulders are in contact with the floor. Inhale, knees up to center. And exhale, knees over to the left side. Hover halfway, pause, squeeze low belly down. Back of the right shoulder firmly connected to the mat. One more full breath in. And then gently bring the knees all the way back up to the top. Well done. Give yourself a little hug or maybe a stretch out if that feels good for you. You might want to take that little rock from left to right. Excellent work, everyone. From here, I'd like you to gently roll yourself over to your favourite side and find your way up onto all fours now. So we're just going to simply open up the spine with some cat-cows. So make sure that the hands are underneath the shoulders and that you've got your knees stacked underneath your hips. Close your eyes and just follow my voice as we move. As you inhale, start to drop your belly down toward the floor. The butt sticks out and your chin lifts so you're looking up. On your exhale, round through your spine. Press through the palms and arch the space between your shoulder blades. Keep on moving with your breath. So inhale, drop the belly down, shoulder blades roll back and together, you're looking forwards. And exhale to your angry cat position. Press the mat away and arch between your shoulder blades, making a C shape with the spine. Now keep this going, moving in time with your personal breath now. Inhale, belly drops, tailbone and gaze rise. Exhale, press the floor away. Tuck tailbone and arch through your spine. Big breaths in, belly drops, shoulders back. Deep breaths out, press the mat away. So we're going to continue moving through our cat-cows for a few more rounds. So you're just moving in time with your breath. But if it feels good here to maybe make a few freestyle movements, particularly if you've got a little bit of tension or any niggles held anywhere else in the body, then please feel free just to move in a way that feels intuitive for you. So it could be that you're kind of rolling the torso round in some nice big circles. It might be that you want to simply wiggle your hips from left to right, or maybe even your head and neck very gently, or maybe you want to rock yourself backwards and forwards. So just do what feels good. Think about working your body out in whichever way it's calling to you today. So just using your intuition to move. Couple more breaths. And then gently find your way back to that tabletop position, midway between cat-cow, and think about how you're placing your body now. So press through the palms and find that slight rounding between your shoulder blades. Make sure that you're drawing the belly in slightly so that you're not kind of dumping down into the low back. You want to feel that the low back is long. On your next breath in, I'd like you to stretch your right leg out behind you. Now, beginning to bend the right knee, bring the leg to the side. I'll move this way so that you can see a little bit better. So it's almost like a dog peeing up a lamppost, for want of a better explanation. Keep pressing through the palms, take a nice big inhale, and on your exhale, squeeze your bottom and bring your thighs together to touch. Good. Inhale, take your knee all the way back out to the side. Exhale, thighs come together to touch. Inhale, bring it out to the side. Exhale, thighs together to touch. Keep squeezing the bottom as you move. Twice more. Breathe in, take the knee out to the side. Breathe out, bring your thighs together to touch. Last time, inhale, knee out to side. Exhale, thighs together to touch. Well done. Now this time I want you to kick your right toes up toward the ceiling. So from here, begin to again squeeze into your bottom, make sure that you're not dumping into the low back, press through the palms, draw in the belly, and we're going to pulse the toes toward the ceiling. So for 10, 9, keep breathing deeply, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently release. Well done. Do what you need to. So if you just need to take a breath, if you just need to sit back and give your wrists a little bit of a shake out, please feel free. And if at any point this does get a little bit too much for the wrists, you can always take fists to the floor instead. That might just feel a little bit more steady. So feel free to freestyle this to make it feel best in your body. So let's do this to the second side now. So press through the palms, drawing the belly. Inhale, left leg comes out behind. And now we're bending the knee, taking the knee out to the side. So again here, breathing as we move. Nice big inhale. Exhale, bring the thighs together to touch, squeezing them together. Inhale, squeeze the butt, taking the knee out to the side. Exhale, knees come together. Belly button to spine, squeeze the bottom. Inhale, knee comes out to the side. Exhale, thighs together to touch. Twice more like that. Inhale, knee comes out. Exhale, thighs come together. Last one, nice and slowly. Inhale, knee to side. Exhale, thighs to touch. And then from there, gently start to kick your left toes up toward the ceiling. Now really squeeze your bottom, switch it on as much as you can. Big breath in, exhale, let's start to pulse our toes toward the ceiling for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Gently release. Again, do whatever you need to. Maybe it's stretching out the knees, having a little shake, a breath, whatever feels good. Well done. Okay, let's make our way down onto our belly from here. So get yourself comfy, lengthen the tops of the legs out along the floor. And what I'd like you to do is bring one hand underneath your forehead. So maybe right hand underneath your forehead to begin. And you're going to take your left fingertips to kind of like the lowest bit of your butt crease. So it's like you're trying to rest your fingertips on your sit bones. That's probably the best way to describe it. So the forehead comes down onto the right hand. You're holding your sit bones with left fingertips and start to really point through the left toes and squeeze through your left thigh. Thinking about trying to squeeze your bottom down to where your fingertips are resting. So nice big breath in. On your exhale, lift just your left leg away from the floor and hold it there. Now keep your deep breath flowing strongly here. So the upper body is resting, but it's that left leg that we are activating as much as we can. And this is fantastic for building strength not just in our glutes, but also in our hamstrings, a space particularly in yoga that we quite often stretch, but we very rarely strengthen. So just 2 more breaths here. See if you can lift the left thigh a little bit higher away from the mat. Good job. And then gently release. Take a moment, take a breath to rest. Good, let's take it to the second side. So this time, maybe just placing your left hand underneath your forehead for a bit of support and your right fingertips come toward the right sit bones. So, right leg is active, pull up through the thigh, point through your toes and squeeze down to where your fingertips are resting on your sit bones. Bottom is switched on. Nice big inhale. Exhale, just lift the right leg away from the floor and hold it there. So you're drawing up through the right thigh. You're active through the right glute. You're pointing through the toes. And believe it or not, the more active this leg is, the more weightless it will feel as you lift it away from the ground. This is also great for strengthening our low back as well. 2 more enormous breaths here. And gently release. Well done. Have a little bit of a breather. Okay, so both hands under the forehead this time. You may have guessed where we're going now. We're going to lift both legs away from the floor at the same time. So point your toes, squeeze your butt, take a really nice big breath in, and then on your exhale, lift both legs as high away from the floor as you can. Now I want you to stay connected with your deep breath. Again, think about making the legs more weightless by pointing the toes, pulling up through the thighs, and squeezing for dear life down into your bottom. Holding it here for 5. Lift the toes a little bit higher for 4. Point the toes a little bit more for 3. Squeeze the thighs a little bit more for 2. And 1. Gently release. Good job. Take a moment, breathe, maybe a big sigh out through the mouth if that's what you need right now. Really nice work. Excellent job. Okay, let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Gently start to press yourself back up onto your all fours and take your time to find your way to standing. So however that looks for you in your body is fine. Soften through the knees as you come up and we'll just take a moment to arrive here. Okay, so I'd like you to step the feet so that they're roughly hip distance apart, and we're going to just come into a very simple chair pose. So take a nice big breath in. On your exhale, begin to bend your knees and start to sit your bottom back. almost like you're sitting down into an imaginary chair. The arms will stretch up alongside the ears, and I want you to really curl under the tailbone. So sometimes when our abdominals are a little bit weaker, this starts to happen. So we kind of stick the bum out, we've got a little bit of a duck back, but what I want you to do is draw in the tummy and lengthen through the tailbone as much as you can. So you could just roll the water right down your back if you were to pour it through. So stretch through your fingertips, squeeze in your belly, and breathe here. There's a sense that the inner thighs are squeezing into the center line. You're rocking the weight back toward the heels, so it should be fairly easy to just lift your toes away from the floor. Let's stay here for another 3 deep breaths. See if you can relax through your shoulders, but keep your arms and hands active. Last full inhale. And then breathing out, lengthening out through the legs, coming up into your standing position. Give yourself a moment, take a resting breath. Good job. Okay, so from here we're going to work with a couple of balances. So I'd like you to use your right leg as your standing leg, so I'll mirror you here. Right leg is your standing leg, lift your left knee toward your chest. So holding onto the left knee, keeping the left toes flexing nice and strongly here. And it's okay if you've got a little bit of a wobble going on, that's totally fine. I'm one of the most wobbly people on the planet, so no judgment. Keep pressing the floor away with the sole of your standing foot. And think about trying to lengthen up through the crown of your head as much as you can. Shoulders are soft. Holding it here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Gently release the left foot down to the floor. Give yourself a moment if you need and a little shake, and we'll take it to the second side. So left leg is standing leg this time. Gently start to draw the right knee in toward the chest. And as you lift the knee, keeping your foot nice and flexed. So one thing I'm not doing at the moment is fixating my gaze on one spot in front of me. So I'd really recommend that. It's a really good way of helping you to balance. So breathing here, keeping the right toes flexing, and that way when the foot is active we feel a little less wobbly sometimes as well. Keep your breath going if you can. For 3, 2, and 1. Gently release. Take the foot down to the floor. Give it all a little bit of a shake out. Excellent. Well done. One more balance from here. Now, this is a bit of a tricky one, but it's another great one for building strength in your bottom, but also in your hip flexors, which is another space of the body that we don't often think about strengthening. So this time, bring your hands onto your hips. Let's have our right leg as our standing leg, and we're going to lift our left. So I want you to point your left toes out in front of you. Again, think about having the thigh and the toes active like we did when we lifted the legs away from the floor on our belly. So big breath in, and then exhale, lift your toes as high away from the floor as you can, and we're holding it here. So the leg is just being held in space, and we're going to start to switch on hamstrings, glutes, and hip flexors. Nice big smiles, holding it there for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Release down. Give it a shake. Excellent job. Second side. Let's get straight into it. Left leg is our standing leg this time. Point the right toes out in front of you for a moment. Draw in the belly, lifting up nice and tall. And then when you're ready, lift the toes away from the floor. Think about making your leg weightless by pulling up through the thigh, pointing through the toes. So we're strengthening hamstring, butt, hip flexor, it's all going on here. Deep breaths. Fix your gaze for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. Give it a good shake out. Well done, well done. Okay, before we start to take it down, let's come into goddess pose. So what I'd like you to do is step the feet wide. I always stretch my arms out, and roughly you want your wrists to be stacked over top of your ankles. That just kind of gives you a good indication of how wide the leg should be. For this variation, our toes are turning out and our heels are turning in slightly, and we're going to bring our hands into prayer position at our heart center. Now, if you have achy knees, then please make sure that you're pressing through the outer edges of the feet, and hopefully you can see here that my arches are lifting up and away from the floor. Really, really important for building strength in the knees and creating this slight external rotation in the thighs. Now you can take this as deep as you want to. You can either stay upright like this, or if you want to come slightly deeper into the posture, sink your bottom down slightly. Try not to take the bottom lower than the line of the knees. You either want it to be in line or maybe slightly higher. Just do what feels right for you. So getting yourself into that positioning. With the hands in prayer position, we're bringing the thumbs just to gently rest on the breastbone. And again, this is a reminder that we kind of want to lean the upper body back slightly. Sometimes this happens, our butt sticks out, we're leaning everything forwards, but I want you to think about stacking shoulders over top of the hips, scooping in the belly to keep your tummy engaged, your low back nice and long, and just stay with your deep breath. Again, maybe you're just bringing the awareness back into the feet. Think about lifting up through the arches as much as you can. Holding it here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Gently start to lengthen out through your legs, hands to your hips, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, bringing the feet back together. Excellent job, well done. Let's start to make our way down onto our bottom. And from there, we'll plant the soles of the feet down to the floor and gently roll ourselves onto our back. So squeeze in the tummy, try to do this as controlled as you can. And once you get all the way down, flat to your back, just take a moment, hug the knees into the chest one more time and gently rock from left to right. So before we finish, I'm going to take you through one of my favourite glute stretches, which is a really nice way to end our glute strengthening session. So bring the soles of the feet to the floor, and I just want you to cross the right leg over the top of the left. If your glutes are very tight, you might just take this to the first stage, otherwise you can start to follow me deeper into this posture. So first stage is simply to draw the knees toward the chest. The heels are nice and heavy, they're kind of resting back towards your butt, and you may want to stay here. If you want to come deeper, I advise you to flex your feet to begin with, and then lift the back of your head and shoulders and reach for your feet. So if you can't quite reach them, but you want to take this variation, you can use a strap or maybe a scarf around one of your feet so that you can take hold. And once you have your feet, gently just rest the back of your head back down to the floor. Now, if you want to come even further, think about trying to lift your heels up in line with your knees. So you're creating this kind of right angle shape through the knees. It's almost like you're holding onto the handlebars of your bicycle. It's always my favourite way of describing this. And then if you want even more, you're gently drawing your feet toward your chest. And hopefully, regardless of which variation you've taken, which stage you're at, you're feeling a nice opening for the outer right hip and for your right glute. So nice big breaths into that space. If it's super tight, part the lips, big sighs out through the mouth. One more big breath. And gently start to release. Well done. Switch sides. So in fact, take the feet to the floor first and then take the left thigh over top of right. So stage 1, knees to chest. Maybe you're just holding it here, hovering here. Otherwise, you can flex through your feet, lift the back of your head and shoulders, take hold of the feet and gently start to release the back of your head and shoulders back down. Again, it might be that you're working on taking the heels in line with your knees. It might be that you're working on starting to draw the feet back toward the chest. So again, big sighs out through the mouth. Make sure that you're not in any pain here. So I often get asked, how do I know the difference between a stretch and being in pain? How do I know the difference between going far enough or going too far? And my gauge is always that you listen to your breath. So if the breath disappears, quite often we tense up, and then the whole body starts to kind of cringe away from the posture, and that's when we know we've gone too far. So you kind of step back a little bit from your edge, you make sure that you can breathe, and it might be uncomfortable, you might be working through a lot of physical tension in the body, but you should be able to stay there relatively comfortably. So let's just take one more big breath here, and then gently release. So stretching the legs out along the mat, give them a good old shake, and let's find our way into relaxation. So again, if low back is feeling a little tricky, then feel free to take your legs into that teepee shape if you prefer. Otherwise, you can keep the legs extended along the floor. And if it felt really helpful to have the hands resting on the body, like we did in our first breathing exercise today, in order to help you feel more connected to your breath, then please feel free. Otherwise, the arms can be alongside you. And regardless of what shape you're in, just start to close your eyes. And we're just going to take a final few moments of our practice to do absolutely nothing. So if you do have more time today, I welcome you to stay here for as long as you possibly can. But if you need to be making your way, gently reintroducing some movement into your hands and your feet. Then eventually, in your own time, there's no rush, taking yourself over to one side and gradually pressing yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bringing the hands to prayer position at our heart center. Taking a big full breath in through the nose. Sigh out through the mouth. And then gently bringing prayer hands up to the space between your eyebrows. Thank you for joining me for this session today. Wishing you peace in your thoughts. Prayer hands in front of your lips. Peace in your words. And prayer hands in front of your heart space. Peace in your actions. Namaste, everybody. Well done. Thank you for joining me for today's session. If you like what I do, please don't forget to hit subscribe and switch on the notifications. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.